Welcome back to Yoga Awakening. I'm Katie. And welcome to today's NADI SHODHANA, or alternate nostril breathing pranayama practice. I hope this will be a really soothing and relaxing practice for you, especially if you're experiencing a headache or if life is feeling a little stressful. So find your way into a comfortable seat, and that's where we'll spend most of today's practice. So you could join me here in some version of a cross-legged seat. I have a block propping up the hips. You might grab a folded blanket or a towel, or of course you could always come to sit at the edge of your couch, perhaps, or a chair, maybe hips to heels. Take a moment to choose that seat. And for today's class, there really aren't any fancy yoga clothes that you need. Really, that goes for all of my classes, but especially today, you could even do this in your regular clothes. And we'll get started with a brief introduction to this pranayama practice, NADI SHODHANA. So NADI we often translate as meaning channel, and SHODHANA as meaning cleansing or purifying. And this is a form of alternate nostril breathing. So we're switching between the two sides as we go, as we inhale and as we exhale. So if you're familiar with this breath, of course, you could get right into it as I demonstrate a couple of rounds. And if you're new to it, go ahead and follow along with me. So I'll show you what one full round of our NADI SHODHANA looks like. And then we'll do a practice round together, and then I'll kind of let you off on your own for a few moments so that you can really tune in and find your own rhythm, right? Which might not be exactly the same as the rhythm of my breath. So, whichever your dominant hand is, for me that's the right one, I'll rest my opposite hand down somewhere on my lap where it's comfortable, and then that dominant hand comes up towards the nose. And I like to use my thumb and my pinky finger as the two fingers that are going to alternately close off the right side of the nostril with the thumb, and then the left side with the pinky. Sometimes people also teach with that ring finger. I find this way a little bit more comfortable for my hand, so you choose. So a first round, before we get going with that round, we'll just take an inhale in normally through the nose and an exhale out also through the nose. So once you've got that hand set up ready there, simple inhale. And exhale again through the nose. Relax the shoulders down and away from the ears. Just arrive here in your practice for a moment, settling in. And then we'll get started. So thumb comes to plug the right nostril. And then I'll inhale in through the left. Now we switch sides. Pinky plugs the left nostril. I unplug the right. Exhale out through the right. Inhale in through the right. Now we plug and switch, so I plug right nostril as I exhale out through the left. And that's one full round of our NADI SHODHANA. So I start with the inhale on the left side, and that's when I switch to exhale. We inhale through the same side, and then we switch to get to, again, exhale. So that's the idea. Let's do one or two practice rounds together. So same thing. We'll start with our just inhale and exhale out through both sides. Exhale through the nose. Both sides. Great. Now we start. Plug the right nostril. Inhale through the left. Switch, plug the left, and exhale out through the right. Inhale through the right. Plug and switch to exhale out on the left. Great, we'll do that one more time. Inhale through the left. Plug, switch, exhale on the right. Inhale on the right. Plug, switch, exhale out, left. Great, pause there. You can bring now both hands down to the lap. Just notice how that went. Don't worry too much if you get confused about the sides. It's no big deal. You might just try starting over. So right like we do at the beginning, plugging on the right as we inhale through the left. All right, so let's give it a try. We'll do a few rounds here. You can follow the pace of your own breath. If you're already going along, keep on going. You can pause whenever you need and come on back in. I'll guide our first couple of rounds and then I'll stop guiding so you can have a few moments to perhaps even close the eyes and really start to tune in to the feeling of the breath, whatever it brings up for you. For me, this is often a really calming and relaxing breath, and that's something I hear from a lot of my students. So I hope you find the same, especially if you're going through a stressful moment or if you have a headache. For me, something that is common. And I find that this pranayama especially can really help to restore a little bit of balance into the body and into my energy. And I find it can also be really helpful for headaches, for migraines. So let's give it a go. So that dominant hand comes up, find your pinky and thumb out, rest of the fingers tucked in. Inhale through both nostrils, exhale through both nostrils. Plug the right as you inhale through the left. Plug the left to exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Plug and switch. Exhale through the left. Great, keep that going now, tuning in to the rhythm of your breath. And again, you might opt to close the eyes here if that's comfortable. I often find closing the eyes to be really helpful. Just helps with concentration and maybe especially too as you're getting used to the rhythm and the switching of the breath. Keep the jaw soft as best you can. The breath steady. Just making your inhales and exhales as long as feels comfortable and easy for the body. I tend to notice that as I keep going with the NADI SHODHANA, that my breath, my inhale and exhale naturally seem to extend and get a little longer and fuller. So see if that's the case for you. If you are currently experiencing a headache, maybe some anxiety associated with that stress, you might even think about kind of blowing that out of the nose, really literally there, as you exhale out through each side. Almost as though you could start to just soften the edges of any of that pain or discomfort or stress as you imagine exhaling it out of the body and out of the being. Let's take about 3 more rounds. Two more. This last one, you might bring a little more focus to the length of the inhale and the exhale, maybe even pausing to retain the breath just for a moment or two at the top. Pausing at the top of the inhale, and then as you switch, exhaling. Pausing at the bottom of the exhale. Inhale. Pausing at the top. Exhale. Pausing at the bottom. Release your hand. Let's take one breath in through both sides of the nostrils. Exhale out both sides of the nose. Inhale. This time maybe an exhale out through the mouth. That's what I already started to do, if you noticed, on the last exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale out through the nose or the mouth. Softening the shoulders. One more time. Softly open the eyes if they were closed. You just take a moment to bring yourself back to your surroundings. And then start to notice any effects of the breath. How do you feel now as compared to how you felt when you arrived on your mat and in your seat? Maybe today that's a really visceral and obvious difference. Maybe today it's a much subtler difference, and that's okay too. Let's take an easy twist over to the right. So left hand to the right thigh, right hand behind. Just softly moving through the spine. Come back through to center, take that over to your second side, to the left. And then back through to center. We'll take a couple of moments to experiment with some acupressure points. And these are points I've chosen that can be especially helpful for headaches, maybe also for tension and stress, for pain as well. So let's give it a try. And again, if this is new to you, don't worry. Give it a try and notice how you feel at the end of our practice. So we'll start on the left hand. And this point is called Union Valley, large intestine 4. And it's this space right in between your index finger and your thumb, kind of in this meaty spot. So you can see here, hopefully, where I have this connection point. And then just dropping down from there, there's kind of like a little valley, a little hollow. And I'm looking to press with my right thumb right into that space. And I like to start here with kind of a few circles. So some really small circles are just sort of wiggling around, right? So you can kind of find the spot. And for some of us, the spot might be a little tender, right? And that can be really common with a lot of our acupressure points. So you might even move the right thumb around until you find a little bit of tenderness. Of course, if there's pain or anything that feels really uncomfortable, back off a bit. Maybe just a little less pressure with the right thumb. Once you've found that, pause. Just applying a gentle pressure, so enough where you feel it. Maybe there's a gentle sensation of tenderness. This is a point that we often use for things like pain and headaches. I think, unfortunately, so often stress can have an impact on pain, on things like headaches. Maybe if you're like me and you do experience migraines, you have migraine disorder, stress can really affect those experiences, potentially bring more tension into the body and the being. So we're just going to do our best today to bring some mindfulness to that, some awareness, some presence. We'll take a couple little circles again one more time with the right thumb. We'll release and take that right to our second side. So over to the right hand, now using the left thumb, just to feel around that little hollow, that space between thumb and index finger. Once you've found that, go ahead and pause. You might close the eyes. Let the attention rest in this point with this soft sensation. Remember to keep relaxing through the jaw. The tongue is loose in the mouth. Maybe the lips are ever so slightly parted. Take those small circles one more time. And then we'll release. This time, palms turn face up towards the ceiling or the sky. Arriving here fully in this moment. And that can be especially challenging when there's pain in the body, or pain or anxiety in the mind or in the heart. We'll move on to our next point, and this is sometimes called bamboo gateway or drilling bamboo, bladder 2. And this point, I like to think of it as being right at the end of the eyebrows and at the top of the bridge of the nose there. So kind of right where those 2 points meet. And I like to bring either hand up and then use my index and thumb to find those 2 points on either side. And again, maybe finding a little bit of tenderness. This is a point where I often notice a little bit of tenderness. Maybe you're like me and you also tend to hold some tension through the face and the jaw and the neck, the shoulders. I think a lot of us are similar in that way. So again, we're just applying this gentle pressure. Back off if you need. Close the eyes. We'll just be here for a couple more moments. Depending on what sort of headache you're experiencing, or maybe just looking for a little break or relief from some stress in life. This might feel like a really nice place to bring a little bit of pressure. So let it feel good and soothing. Draw the attention right into the sensation. And then we'll release, once again, palms face up. Open the eyes if they're closed, and I'll bring my block out from underneath. We'll make our way into a child's pose, and if you do happen to have a block or maybe a blanket you can roll up, we'll use that right in the middle of the forehead here. So kind of lower down in this third eye point that we sometimes call, that we call in our acupuncture, acupressure, yin tang. So roughly in between the eyebrows, and I'll bring the edge of my block to that space. And of course, if you don't have the block or the folded blanket, that's totally fine. You might be able to find that same point in the forehead, just right on the floor. So resting the forehead. And of course, since this isn't acupuncture or anything so refined and specific, we don't have to be too worried about the exact right spot. And if anything, hopefully this just feels like a nice moment of relaxation, letting the head rest down. For me, when I have a headache or if I just need a moment or two, this is often the first place that I come. This shape really, for me, embodies the idea of relieving tension, relieving stress. Creating calm. Let's inhale here. Exhale out. And we'll come on up, moving slowly. And we're transitioning into our Shavasana. We'll just have a brief Shavasana here. Again, if you do have that block, you could bring it down to the ground with you. I'll give you one final option here. And that's to bring the block to its second height. And I'll kind of nuzzle that front edge right up towards the base of the skull. So think about that, where the neck meets the head. And then the rest of my body comes right on into Shavasana. Plenty of room in between the limbs. Taking up a little space. And then it might feel really nice just to stay here with hopefully this really relaxing, gentle pressure right at the base of the skull. If you'd like a little more, you could take some really slow rocking motions side to side. And if you don't have that block, of course you can take the same rocking motions with the head right on the mat or the floor underneath you. Wherever you are, close the eyes. Let's take a moment together to breathe in appreciation for this moment just as it is, for the body just as it is. And then to breathe out gratitude for this moment, just as it is. And the body, just as it is. Know that these simple practices are always here for you if you need them. If these felt helpful, come back to this video, or maybe just to one of those acupressure points or your NADI SHODHANA. Whenever you're looking for some intentional calm, we'll end right here in our Shavasana. Hands come together. Let's say the light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.